Negative 4 degrees at 7:34. Good morning, everyone. Protecting Canadian soldiers and stopping so-called sleeper cells in our country. Expect a lot of questions on those two topics on Parliament Hill today in Ottawa. The issue front and center, of course, after this week's deadly hit and run, killing a Canadian soldier and injuring a second just outside of Montreal. Canada's domestic terrorism threat level is now at medium, raised from low just days ago. All this comes as 6 Canadian fighter jets are on their way to join an international combat mission against Islamic militants, members of ISIS, in Iraq. The CF-18's taking off from CFB Cold Lake, Alberta. The jets, 1 fueling plane and 2 surveillance aircraft, along with 600 support personnel. They'll eventually be based out of Kuwait. It'll take a couple of days to get there, but they should be ready to fly in theater by the end of the month. Canada's defense minister and Cold Lake's base commander both say because of what happened in Quebec and because of the mission right now overseas, precautions are being taken to protect troops here at home.
We need to continue to be vigilant with the threat that could be posed either here or in our deployed location. Working with other government agencies and departments, we're able to gather information to ensure that we have the right force protection measures in place to protect those personnel that I've just mentioned, and we'll continue to assess that and modify our force protection measures as required.
The United States is leading the mission overseas against ISIS in Iraq and in Syria. Canada is one of more than a dozen countries taking part. An accused killer is expected to take the stand today in Calgary, facing 2 counts of second-degree murder. Derek Puffer is on trial, accused of killing his mother, Donna Lee Powers, and his stepfather, radio personality Billy Powers. In court yesterday, video of a police interview with Puffer was presented. The video is right after he was arrested. On the tape, Puffer tells police he stabbed his mother and stepfather because of voices in his head. Court also hearing Puffer was found naked with blood on his hands. And because of the mission right now overseas, precautions are being taken to will focus on Puffer's mental state at the time of the crimes. A new documentary is challenging women to enter politics in our country. The doc is called 25%. It showcases the lack of female politicians, the need for women in politics, and it showcases the roadblocks women face. The need is at all levels of government, civic, provincial, and federal. According to the Federation of Canadian Municipalities, women account for slightly more than half of our country's population, yet they make up only 16% of mayors and only about 26% of city councillors.
I've always taken the time to go and speak at schools and try and mentor young women, but it's given me more inspiration to do so. And quite a few young women have come up to me afterwards and talked about how they would like to get involved.
Canada currently sits below the United Nations target of having women represent 30% of politicians. Time to focus on business. The TSX looking for another solid day today. Business editor Mike Eppel joining us now. Mike, how does oil fit into the rise or fall of the TSX?
Well, we've seen stability, at least in oil, over the past few trading days, Ted, and that has led to some buying on the energy sector of stock at the TSX. But you recall when our market was in the midst of that sell-off that had it down 10% from the peak that was reached in early September, it basically came to an end a week ago yesterday. And then that was pretty much the low for oil, around $80 a barrel. Then we had some U.S. government or Federal Reserve officials talking about, policy out of the central bank, and that seemed to be the catalyst for everybody to go, oh, interest rates aren't going anywhere anytime soon or anything of that nature. So everybody piled back in. A lot of this has also had to do with hedge funds. They're big fund operators that either move the market on momentum one way or the other, and they've been buying back in as well and also covering some of their early bets. So we've seen a 4-day rally for the TSX that has taken our composite index up more than 600 points. It has been substantial, a gain of more than 5%. The price for oil this morning, incidentally, not doing much. We will be getting U.S. oil inventories, the weekly report on supply and demand coming up in about an hour's time. Canadian retail spending, it was down in August. A lot of that had to do with the price of the pumps. We weren't paying as much to fill up, so overall value of all retail sales down 0.3%. The dollar is cautious in reaction to that, and we also have a Bank of Canada decision on interest rates coming up later this morning as well. The Boeing company is raising its forecast for the year. This is not a surprise. The big aircraft manufacturer, interest rates aren't going anywhere. Any underperformer on the U.S. markets down year piled back in. A lot of this has also had to do with hedge funds. They're big, generate as much revenue just because of the the volatility for that sector. And here's another signal that more people will be shopping from home on the internet for Christmas this year, Ted, because Federal Express just in with their sales expectations and shipping expectations for the holiday season. They expect that package deliveries for Christmas this year up 9%. That all has to do with internet shopping. So that is the way a lot of retailers will be making some big money this year. Ted, back to you.
All right, thank you, Mike. That's business editor Mike Apple. You can hear Mike, by the way, on 660 News here in Calgary, 26 and 56 after the hour.